So I'm making this video for a couple reasons. So here are my goals. I want to have clear communication so there is no confusion. So sometimes it's hard to talk and you guys understand me. So I thought if I made a video, you could use subtitles on YouTube to translate it to Italian or any language that you can understand, and maybe it would help. So when I'm explaining things, it's clear and it's not confusing. And I also just wanted to make sure that you knew what to do so that you feel like you were doing a quality job. I know with milking, it's clear and you know the proper way to do everything, but with the dry cow barn, it's kind of like a new job, and I feel like I want you to know exactly what I'm talking about and exactly what's expected so that you know that you're doing a really good job. And I want us to be organized. I want us to feel like we're a good team and there's no confusion and we're all on the same page. And I also want to feel like accountability expectations. I want to be able to know that whoever was working at the dry cow barn did everything that was expected of them and met my expectations, and that we're all doing a good job on the team together. So I'm going to go through some checklists. I'm going to do some computer training for entering fresh cows, just kind of show you a couple more things with dairy comp. I want to talk about cleaning out the big waters and cleaning out the little waters, how to. I want to talk about like pneumonia with the calves treatment, and I want to talk about scour treatment, and then I just want to talk about calf tagging. But yeah, I'm really going to try to keep it simple here. Okay, so here's a typical day at the dry cow barn checklist. So again, this is something that I think from Manpreet and everything you guys have a good idea of, but I just kind of want to go through step by step. 5 in the morning. I normally scrape the alley before I feed the calves, and I check the whole barn for calves and fresh cows. That way, it's a lot easier to find the mothers at 5 in the morning than at maybe 9 in the morning, because at 5 they still have blood on them. They might still be licking the calf off. So I like to do it that way, scrape the alley. And then at 6 a.m., go up, mix the milk replacer, fill the bottles, feed the big pens, like the big pens that get milk with the mom feeder, hand feed any new calves. So like if they don't know how to use the holder yet. One thing I will say, if you need to feed sick calves, like if there's a sick calf, make sure you feed it after you feed the new calves. So then that way you're not going in and handling a sick calf and then right after that going and handling a newborn, just because sometimes you can spread germs that way. That's just something to keep in mind. So then you put the bottles on the bottle washer, press start, wash the nipples, also like wash the milk replacer vat, obviously. Fill up all the big pens with the straw mixture, which we call Rumomax. Treat any calves that need treatment with the needles. Bed up any hutch that looks wet. So get if you would get your knees wet if you kneeled on it, it needs straw, well, really shavings, but it needs to be bedded up. So I have some examples here for you. Let me find it. So we want it to look like that. And this is what we don't want it to look like. So do you see how if you kneeled down in this, you would get wet? So if a calf sleeps in this wet stuff, they will get sick. So we don't want that. So bed up any hutch that looks wet. The other thing is clean any dirty water buckets and add fresh grain to any empty buckets. So this is almost like one of the first things that you would do in the morning. Make sure they have clean water. So I have some pictures. This is like, who cares that there's some flies in it? Doesn't matter. But that's fine, but this isn't. So my kind of rule of thumb is if the water is clear, you're good. If the water is dirty, then this bucket needs to be carried back to the calf kitchen, dumped out, and new water added. And sometimes you even have to scrub it. Like if there's manure in here, you'll have to scrub it to get it clean. Identify which calves belong to what cows and write details on the whiteboard. Put the calves in the cuddle box, milk all fresh cows, keeping the colostrum separate for each dam. So we want to feed each mother's milk to each calf. Wash milker, spray down milk room, tag all calves and move them to the calf barn. Pick the pack. Okay, this is another one that's really important. So I really love a clean barn. So where they're calving, we really want to do our best to keep it looking like that. So in that first pen, the first pen where they calve, the goal is that 3 times a day or 4 times a day, you want to pick the manure off that pack and throw it into the alley. Only in that first pen do you want to do that. So only in the pen that they calve in do you need to do that. Push in feed. So like at 8 in the morning, you want to push in feed. Check the water bowls for manure. So I like to do it this way because then while all the cows are still sleeping, you've already scraped the alley, so you don't have to chase anybody. So at 5 in the morning, while all the cows are laying down, you scrape the alley, and then maybe before you start milking the cows, you can push in the feed, and then all the cows can get up and eat the leftover feed. And you want to check the water bowls for manure in the dry cow barn, just to make sure the water bowls are clean. So this is something that Oliver and Harvinder, it would be nice for the guy that's bringing the mix down if he doesn't have to get out of the tractor and push the feed out himself. So if you can push the feed out and clean the bunk and put the feed in the manure pit, that would make their life easier for the guys making the feed. So normally around 10 o'clock, you would have a break and clock out, come back, feed calves lunch, and then these are kind of like some extra things that you would do. So this is, the extra things are assuming that you don't have a big day of calvings and there's another 4 cows waiting for you. So I'm really trusting that, you know, depending on how many cows you have calved, your hours will reflect that. So if you don't have any cows calve, I expect you to be doing something like washing all the buckets for the calves, pressure washing the new hutches and setting up new hutches, pressure washing cuddle box, bedding up the big calves. So obviously at some point in the day, you're going to enter all your fresh cow information in the computer. You're going to push in the feed. So if you can see, like the cows can't reach very far. So this whole line of feed, it's really important every couple hours to push the feed in so they can reach it. And that way they can have food when they want to eat it. The size is like, you know, if you run into troubles like this calf, this is one that had a really hard time calving. When they're orange like that, it means the calf is distressed. Because this is all like meconium, like this is the poop. So if you have any problems, don't hesitate at any point to give us a call. That is my job, to be here in case something goes wrong. So again, don't hesitate to call me if anything like that goes wrong. So, and again, before you would leave for the day, milk calves, check for new calves, etc. I'm really happy with how you guys are sweeping the barn. It looks awesome. Yeah, and you guys are doing a really good job pressure washing the cuddle box. And yeah, I'm really happy with how things are going so far. Okay, we're on to computer training. So this is dairy comp at the dry cow barn. So in the computer, the dry cow barn is group number 6. So if you type in show ID due for group number 6, just like that, and then you click on due, it'll sort all of your cows. So there's 92 cows at this barn, and it will sort them by their due date. So if you ever have a cow calf and you have a calf, you don't know who the mother is, normally it's going to be somebody within a week of the date. So say today's the 26th, it's probably going to be somebody 23rd to 30th, right, in this week here. So 23rd, so it would probably be one of these cows. So that's kind of a tool you can use. The other thing you can use is if you say elsir, that brings up the sire. So that means this is the father of the calf in the cow. So if you have a beef calf, you know it's going to be ABS beef or beef. It's not going to be one of these ones with a name. Anybody that has a real name in here, like Ranger Red, Alcove, Pursuit, any of those ones are going to be a Holstein heifer. Anybody with ABS beef or just this normal beef, anything with the word beef in it, that's going to be a black calf. So if you have a calf and you don't know, like for instance, if you have a Holstein heifer, you would know that it couldn't be any of these cows because they were bred to beef. So let's say this 9244 had a calf. We would go enter her as fresh, enter 9244, just ignore that. Okay, so calving ease, U means unassisted, E means easy, so you helped her, H means hard, so you jacked it out, and S means surgery, so a vet came and did a surgery. So unless you pulled this calf out, you put it as U. Calf size, medium, you can put whatever you think the calf size is. Okay, so now it's asking what group is the mother going to. So if the mother is a cow, she's going to group number 1, and if she is a heifer, she's going to group number 2. And if somebody is taking her to Alton, they will change it, so don't worry about that. But just enter 1 or 2, depending if it's her second or third or fourth calf, she goes to group 1. And if it's her first calf, she goes to group 2. This should pre-populate, just skip that. So then we go and we're going to say, okay, if it's a Holstein heifer, then we are going to say number 1, female live add to cow file. If it's twin females, you're going to do that. If it's a female stillborn, you're going to do that. If it's a beef calf, you're going to say male live add to the cow file. And you're going to do that if it's an Angus, regardless of if it's a female or if it's a male. So if it's black, if it has black hooves, you are going to put 6 male live add to cow file and hit enter. So then it should pre-populate with the calf ID. So this calf ID does not matter for those beef calves. The only time this calf ID matters is for the Holstein calves. So the Holstein calves will have that number that is on their big ear tag. So this 4-digit number is the ID of the calf, and this little number above it is the C reg. So with a Holstein heifer, both are important. With the beef, only the little one is important. So this little number is also found on the button. So on a calf, so if we pick any calf, so show ID for group equals 10. So 10 is the calf barn. So if you click any calf, this C reg is going to be that little number, and that ID is going to be the big number. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about was these water bowls. So these water bowls, they have plugs on the side, and what you have to do is there's a bolt, and you have to undo the bolt, and then the water will drain from either side. And you take a brush and you scrub it, and then once you get all the dirt out of either side, you put it back in. So this is something that probably should be done weekly, but really it's going to end up on the person who, if there's no calf, if you only had one cow calf and the calf barn is perfectly clean and there's nothing to do in the calf barn, this is the kind of thing that I would expect you to do, is clean all of these water bowls. Similarly, in the calf barn, these are the bowls or something similar that are for the calves. And what you have to do is you have to take off this red part on top. And if you reach down, there's a plug. There's a black plug, just like at the same as like at the bottom of a bathtub. And if you pull that plug out, it will actually drain to the side. Let me see if okay, so there you can see that it has a hole on the side. So what you have to do is you have to put a bucket right here. So you kind of like move the straw mixture to the side and you put a bucket here, and the water will drain out to the side. And so the same thing, you kind of scrub both of those and let the water drain out. And that again is something that if somebody pooped in the water bowl, or if it's really dirty, it needs to be done. But otherwise, it's kind of one of those jobs that if you only have one cow or two cows that calved that day, that would be one of the jobs that I would expect you to do. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is pneumonia calves. So most of the calves that have been treated on the board recently have been for pneumonia. You are responsible, if you are working in the calf barn, to identify and treat these calves. So how you would identify them is they have snot in their nose, they're coughing, they don't want to drink, and they're breathing hard. So once you know that a calf has pneumonia, you're going to go ahead and treat her with Nuflor. So here's a little chart. So we're going to do, like we've been doing 5, which is between 100 and 200 pounds. So I think 5 is a good dose for most of the calves in this barn. If they're towards the very back of the barn, you might want to do something more like 10. But 5 is a good dose for Nuflor. If you're still struggling getting that calf to drink, what we can do is give her Medicam as well. And that would be 2.5 cc's of Medicam. So if you were to treat a calf for pneumonia, what you would do is you would give her Nuflor. You would do Nuflor 5 cc every second day for 5 treatments. And then you would give her Medicam 2.5 cc every second day for. So the Medicam is really more of if she isn't drinking, then you want to give her Medicam. I would probably just give her Medicam for the first dose when you first give her the Nuflor. Medicam, a one-time treatment. So that is how you would deal with the pneumonia calves, and I would like you to put them on the board exactly how I put them on the board, with little, check marks that say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that people have to check. That way we know it's going to get done. So calves that have scours are the other thing I wanted to talk about. So if a calf is scouring, she normally gets dehydrated, and you can tell because she won't get up, her eyes are sunken in, and there's loose poop in the pen. So the treatment for these calves is Medicam as well, but this tends to be a little bit more painful in their stomach. So we're going to do Medicam 2.5 cc's every second day for 5 treatments. And the other thing we're going to do for her is we're going to give her electrolytes at lunchtime. And the electrolytes, there's a pail of electrolytes in the calf barn. And all you have to do to make a bottle of electrolytes is you have to take 1 scoop out of this pail, put it in the bottle, and fill it up with warm water and feed that to the calf instead of milk at lunchtime. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've talked to the other Rowan, his name is, who feeds calves at night sometimes, and he's going to use a green marker to mark the calves that don't drink for him. So if you see a calf with a green mark that won't drink morning or lunch, call me, and what I will do is I will come tube feed that calf. And like if you guys want to learn how to tube feed, that's fine, but I prefer if you just call me, I'll come take a look at the calf and tube feed it. So the last thing on the list is calf tagging. So I just wanted to go over one more time kind of the basics of the calf tagging. So if you are working at the barn that day, any calf that's born before 5 p.m., you are responsible for tagging, moving, and entering fresh cow. So tagging the calf, moving the calf can probably, like, if the calf's born right at 4:30 or something, like no problem, leave the calf in the cuddle box. But you know, if you can, it helps set up the next person for success if you move the calf up to the calf barn. So just a note about the tagging. So if we go look at some of these calf tags. So for the Holstein heifers, for the heifers that we are keeping, the first thing you're going to do is a genomics test. So it comes in the tag, this little genomic sample, and you're going to put a hole in the calf's ear, and then you're going to put this in the office on the bulletin board in the bag for every Holstein heifer. The next thing that you're going to do after you take the genomic sample is you're going to tag the calf. So this button, it's like thicker and it's an RFID. This is always going to go on the right side. So in the beef calves, there's no panel on the front, and in the Holstein heifers, there's a panel on the front. But this tag, the thick tag, always goes on the front and on the cow's right side. So if you're behind the cow, it's going to be on the right side. If you're looking at the cow, it should go on this left side. But if you're not sure, the best thing to do is to go into the calf barn and look at other calves and see how they are tagged, and then tag yours the same way. Okay guys, thank you for watching this training video. If you guys have any questions at all, you can text me anytime, or if you have any problems, let me know, and I'm here to help you. And I am very happy that you're working here together with us on the farm, and I'm excited for us to do a good job going forward and to continue to raise quality calves and make really good milk. Thanks.